Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about rib roast. Alright, so now often a lot of time people go to the grocery store, they always asking, can I get a prime rib? And we always trying to explain that the reason why it's called a prime rib because it's a grade of meat that's USDA certified prime. Okay, now with this is just a regular standard rib roast because it's not prime. Now, people are always asking, how can I tell if it's prime or not? And the simple way of telling if it's prime is when you go to your grocery store or wherever you go to buy your meat, look for this piece of paper. If it doesn't say USDA prime sticker, if it doesn't say USDA prime, then it's not USDA prime. And how you'll know, because if it's USDA prime, they're gonna have this label stick all over the meat and all everywhere, because when you have this label, you could charge maximum dollars. All right, so whenever you want to make sure it's prime, just look for this label. It's not gonna be hard to find because they're gonna stick it everywhere to try to make sure you see that as USDA prime. If you do not see this, I'm 99.9% sure it's not prime. 100% sure it's not prime. All right. Now the next step down from prime, which this is one that I have right here, is certified Angus. Right here. Look for this sticker right here, certified Angus. Well, that's as close a thing to prime you're gonna get. Prime is somewhere between 20 and up per pound. Certified Angus is, to me, just as good. Looking great marbling. You're probably gonna get it for around 16-ish. So great quality. And this sign right here, once again, if that's what they're selling, they're gonna have the sign stick all over the meat and everywhere to make sure you know what grade meat it is. Then after that, you have your USDA choice. Now USDA choice is a step down from certified Angus. Now this still has great quality, great flavor and everything, so keep that in mind. So once again, once you go to your store, these labels, they're gonna be stick everywhere to make sure you see it, so you know. So if you don't see it, I'm pretty sure it's not. All right, so when you go to buy your meat or whatever, look for this label, USDA choice. Then from there, you have USDA select. What this means is now the meat's not going to be as marbleful. It's not going to have a lot of marble in it, and it's not going to have a lot of flavor. Obviously, it's going to lack fat, and the grade is lowering the grade at this point. Still a great meat, but once again, the marbling and the high quality of fat that they're looking for, it's not going to be there. So USDA select. You don't see this one quite often, only certain places, like usually smaller stores that have them, because they're not really, because like they're not having the clientele so that they could sell the other expensive meat, so they usually carry this grade of meat. Not bad. And then the very least is USDA inspected. What this means is this meat is inspected for, it's healthy to eat, but once again, this going to be extremely lean, but the only good thing is it's very cheap. You can usually find it for like $6-7 a pound for ribs or beef in general. Okay, so, and a lot of times USDA inspected meat is usually imported from a lot of places like Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. So you want to keep that in mind. So try to stick with, if you can't afford the prime, which is very expensive, try to get the choice, the Angus choice. If you can't get that one, try to get the USDA choice for flavor. Now, so when you go inside the store, all right guys, so now what we have here is the standard rib roast. Okay, so I explained to you about the grade, how to know you're getting the right meat. So this is a 2-bone standard rib roast. All right, so now it has a lot of fat, so we're gonna trim a little bit of fat off, but don't worry, we're gonna save that fat. And always buy the one with the bone, because simple fact, the one with the bone you're gonna always get at a cheaper price. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't need the bone. Listen, you could get the one with the bone for about $5 to $6.99 a pound, and the boneless is gonna be like somewhere up to $9-10 a pound. So it's still cheaper to just get it and just use it for ribs or stock later. All right guys, so we took a little bit of fat off, not too much, just a little bit, but we're gonna use that fat to make in the gravy. All right, so now we're gonna scrape the bottom off. All right, you can scrape some of that off, and we're gonna turn it over. We're gonna take a little bit of this, a little bit of fat off the bottom off, not too much, just a little bit. All right, now to get it off the bone, just gonna put your knife up against the bone and just go down. And here you can just follow the bone, and voila. That's what makes it. There you go. Now you can add your seasoning here. You can tie it back on. So this, by doing this right here, it's gonna make it easy carving. All right, that's what's gonna make it easy carving. But you don't want to take it all the way off. You still want to keep it on, so that way you can still get the flavor from the bone when you start cooking it. All right. All right, guys. Now we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna prep it for seasoning. So we're gonna use some
butter.
Some butter. What kind of butter are we using?
We have cultured butter with sea salt.
Kosher butter with sea salt.
Cultured.
Cultured?
It says.
So we're using cultured butter with sea salt.
And then we're going to put some rosemary.
We're going to add some rosemary.
Some Himalaya salt.
Alright, guys. We have the butter.
And then put 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. And then we're going to put 1 teaspoon of rosemary. Alright, guys, so then we're going to scoop it out, because rosemary is very overpowering. So we put that in, and then we're going to crack. We have cracked grinder of Himalaya salt. So we're going to start putting it over the beef.
Yes, first you're going to make sure you get a good salt going on your beef. You can use kosher salt, but try to use a kosher salt. You could use less, and it's bigger grain, so it's going to absorb better. And versus using a finer salt, that's a lot of time people mistakenly over salt their meat because they use a finer like sea salt. Especially when you're using something like a big chunk of meat like this, you want a coarse salt.
Okay, and then as he's doing that, I will be mixing.
Should be mixing the butter in. And I would like to get some in here as well, just for added flavor. For added flavor, I would like to sprinkle. That's one of the reasons why I like to do it. And plus, it's easy carving, but I like to get my salt in here as well. And I would like to season all 4 sides. All right.
All right, guys, and when you have the grinder, which I do this as a quick tip so you can have more salt coming in. So I go like this, and I go, and it comes out way more quicker.
Yeah, I'm not good at stuff like that, so she definitely did it better. All right, now the mix of, what was
so
it
you put it, the butter and rosemary, we're gonna put it inside the bone first.
Put it inside the bone first. That's just something that I do just for to maximum flavor in.
So when you put it in, put a good dab of it in. There you go, and then pat it. As you can see, he is brushing it, but I say pat it is better.
Everybody have their techniques. I'm not a good patter, so I brush.
Yeah, I think patting, you could get the whole in there.
Okay. All right. Now we're gonna work on the outside.
We're gonna do the sides first, and the top will be last.
Then we're gonna tie it. Then we're gonna do it. All right. So you have to tie it back on so it can stay in. So we're gonna show you guys how we tie it. All right, guys. When you go to your supermarket or butcher shop, just ask them for some butcher twine. They'll be more than happy to give it to you. So you want to put it in. Just make a regular knot. You could try to be fancy and make us. You don't have to. Just make a regular knot.
Alright, and we're doing so because we cut the...
Because we fillet the ribs off. And they tie it back on. So that's what's going to make it easy carving. Because if you don't do that, it's going to be really hard to carve it. Because then you're going to have to do it regardless afterwards. Because it'll be hard to cut in between the bones.
Alright. So as you can see, he's doing the twine.
And another trick when you go to the store and you want to know how much ribs you're getting when you see your rib is by the string. So each string usually represents a bone. So if there's like 5 strings, it's a good chance it's 5 bones. So each string usually represent a bone. So each one of these strings usually count for a bone. That's why I only put 2 strings on it.
Alright, so now we're going to finish buttering it.
So now we're going to finish it up
with our rosemary cultured butter with
Alright.
Italian seasoning inside.
There you go. So remember, you want to know how many bones is in the rib? Just look at the strings. The strings will tell you how many bones you're getting in your rib when you go to your grocery store.
Alright, put it on the side first. And then okay, let me do a little and show you what mic technique is, guys. Thank you. So I feel like if you pat it like that, you get more of the rosemary.
Okay, your technique is
and
better,
butter.
so you finish it up.
So
okay, get the other side.
So we put it on there.
And the string is not going to burn, so you don't have to worry about that.
Alright, and then we use 1 stick of butter. And then, this is his technique, but...
Okay, use yours. Yours is better. I would admit that one.
Because you get, to me, the generous amount of the butter across when you pat it. As for if you brush it.
Now we're going to do the other side.
Alright.
Okay, you guys can see we're going to hit the other side now. Yeah.
Alright. So, there you go, guys. He's holding it for me.
And after this, and another thing, guys, when you take your meat out the fridge, don't ever cook it right away. Let it sit for about 20 minutes to get back down to room temperature.
Okay, guys.
All right, so now we're gonna put it in the big pan, but you're gonna need a rack, and the reason why you're gonna need a rack is to make sure when the juice and all the fat and everything renders down that you can use that
for gravy.
For gravy. And sometimes you can actually put your like potatoes underneath the rack as well, but we'll do that another time.
All right, and we got a roasting rack.
We got a roasting rack, so we're gonna show you guys what we're gonna put in the roasting rack, and we're gonna put in the oven, and we're gonna tell you how long we're gonna do it for. All right, now you put it down inside of your baking rack like that. But if you don't have one, it's fine, because the bone on the bottom, right here, this bone right here, that's what makes it stand up. That's why it's called a standing rib roast. So that could do it too if you don't have a rack. So if you don't have a rack, you don't have to worry, because the bone's gonna make it stand up. I'm just doing this so I could catch the grease better, so I could make a gravy. So we're gonna show you guys the process and the cooking time.
Yeah, so you preheat your oven for 425, and this is how much this roast is. It's like 4 to 5 pounds.
Yes.
So this roast here, you salt it as we did, and then if you want to reduce it, you bake it, you rub the butter on here, you reduce it, and then you do this for 45 to 75 minutes to do this or more. And if you want it medium rare, when you check it with the thermometer, 125 Fahrenheit is medium rare, 170 is well done. Transfer it, and then you serve it, like let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes. But you preheat the oven for 425, and you let it cook for 45 to 75 minutes.
And if you want to be well done, how long you take it out? Or when it's reached 125, you take it out?
Yes, and then when you bake for 20 minutes like this and let it brown, then you reduce the heat to 350. So let this cook for 20 minutes on 425, and then you reduce it to 350, and then let it finish bake for 45.
All right. All right, guys, here we go. We finish with the roast.
So that's the finish.
In the bottom, that's what we're going to use to make a gravy, which we're going to use what in it?
We're going to make like a roux, and then we're going to put some onions, thyme, and
a little bit of flour to thicken it.
That's the roux that we make with the butter and flour. All right, guys.
Now we're
going to show you when we cut it.
All right, guys, it's finished. So now we're going to cut the strings. We're going to take the strings off.
So we're taking the string off now.
We're taking the strings off.
And then you're going to cut off the...
And now for the easy carving now, you take this off. Just get your knife, and voila.
So you have short ribs.
Beef ribs.
Beef ribs.
And now we're going to give it a nice cut, see what inside looks like. Oh, yeah. Woo!
Just nice.
Look
and
at
this is
Look at it.
medium well.
Yep, look at that. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. You cannot ask for anything better than this. Look at the color. That's why I was saying, guys, when you go to the store, make sure you pay attention to make sure you know what you get. Alright, guys, that's how it looks. We're going to cut another one. And this is great.
And it cuts so
And
nice and tender.
you go.
And this is, there we have it.
This was the Angus choice. So like I said, when you go to the store, make sure you see those stickers I showed you earlier to ensure you're getting the correct meat that you're paying for. Alright guys, as always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment. And have a wonderful day.
Happy holidays.